All right, and then let me reset this. All right. On my mark, go ahead.
Al, it's so good to see you.
And it's good to see you, my dear.
It has been a long time since we got together and just had a conversation.
It's been a very long
Too
time.
long.
Too long.
I need to know then. Let's catch up. What's
Okay.
new with you?
Thank you for asking. The reason I ask you is my last update was on June 19th of 2024, so 6 months ago. And so much has happened. And in that video, it was just me.
Yes.
And dull. And I hate, I know you don't like to watch yourself and I don't either. So,
but you guys do. That's why we're here.
Yes.
Because we love Al. We want to know what's going on with him.
Well, we love Twilight too. So what's going on? My life is, I said last time, is like a soap opera. Last time I had my pacemaker was all screwed up and I was feeling bad and all. So they fixed my pacemaker. Right. I felt good. And then I didn't. And I had a good month or two. Yeah. And then I got weak and tired and I couldn't walk my 1.5 miles with Dottie in the morning. And I really couldn't do any exercise at all.
That's scary because you're so active.
I know. Yes. And it is scary. You lose your mobility. You don't feel good. So I was just weak and I was getting chest pains, shortness of breath, all of the things. And I, of course, immediately think it's my heart because all of my
your history.
My history, yeah. So I call my doctor and I'm anemic. My doctor says, you're anemic. I said, all right, what do we got to do? He says, well, we got to take the test, colonoscopy.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to take that. Well, that's not really, and I kept thinking, I may have mentioned this to you, that I eat beets every day.
Right,
and of course that makes your stool red, and I'm thinking it's the beets. And they said, oh, no, we think you're bleeding inside. That's so they give me a test and I am. So I thought, well, she said, that pretty much, my doctor said, that pretty much will give you the anemia. Okay, so let's do it. So I can't they wait. I waited 2 months and I'm getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And so I call her up and say, can you bump me to the head of the line?
Yeah.
No, she can't. So she said, well, just go to the ER. So I go to the ER and they say, there's nothing wrong with you, go home. So I finally, I'm worried, I'm still worried. Ignorance is the most dangerous thing in the world.
Yes.
And it just frightens you. So I think it's my heart. I gotta get a meeting with my cardiologist. So I go to meet my cardiologist and I tell him, he said, what are you doing here? I said, well, look, I can't breathe. I get chest pains. I'm tired all the time. He says, you got anemia. You get that fixed, it'll go away. I said, I can't get the appointment, do this and that. Yeah. He said, I'll get you the appointment. I said, oh yeah, I'll bet. So he said, let me dial right now. So he dialed. Oh, they don't answer the phone. He says, well, go to ER. I said, I've already done that. Yeah. Been there, done that. And he says, they send me home. He says, when you go in, the 3 things you have to tell them.
Let's remember these, okay?
Well, it may not apply to anybody. You tell them you're anemic. You tell them you got chest pains. And you tell them there's blood in your stool. So you tell them those 3 things and they will not send you home. Okay. So sure enough, I go in. Sure enough, they don't send me home. But I am so weak, just rolling over in bed, in their beds, the uncomfortable hospital beds. I got chest pains. They give me blood transfusion.
Oh, okay.
And man, I feel like a new man. It's just great. Wow. I could walk the halls and everything. So they give me the operation, the procedure, and they say, you've got something in there. And I said, yeah, I know. We don't know if it's cancer stuff. I thought, yeah, you don't yet, but you will. Why else would I have it? So sure enough, it comes back, it's cancerous. And he says, now this is the size, yada, yada, yada. And he tells me I'm in the hospital for 2 or 3 days because of this. And he said,
is he giving you different options of ways to treat it?
Not yet. I'll get there. I'll get there. Thank you. Yeah. Um,
That's why I'm here, friends.
that's right.
Okay.
To interrupt me and confuse me, which is what she's really good at. So they say it's in the. I said, well, I keep asking him what size because I don't remember. He says, well, you just go to your go to Kaiser. Go to the website. Go to the app. And so I go to the app, and it's not on there. And I said, well, you told me to go to the app, and there's no information. He said, oh yeah. He says, we don't want people to find out they have cancer on the website, that we want the doctors
to tell them in person.
And I
right?
said, you know, you told me 2 days ago.
Yeah,
What's
right.
it? Oh, okay. So just as an aside, if I may.
You can interrupt yourself. That's okay.
Thank you. Why am I taking 2 months to get this simple procedure? And so finally, I have a good relations with, I chat up my medical people, and even though my cardiologist is tired of hearing me talk about how wonderful a plant-based diet is,
Yeah, exactly.
he still, we get along great. So he said, here's the problem. He said, California is such an unhospitable environment for companies that they're leaving. Now, if you know anything all about medicine and all, they pay the bills. What's left at Kaiser here in Sacramento is Medi-Cal, Medicare, and the ones that don't pay. And the guys that they're in their 20s and 30s and 40s that work for corporations, they don't use medicine that much.
No.
So they're paying the tariff for people like me, you, and I. So consequently, they're understaffed, overworked, and not enough facilities, and that's the reason. Just as I got to be in my 90th year this year.
Yes, the big 90 coming up.
Big 90 coming up. I'm going to have a big party. Maybe I should tape it. Anyway, so we find out they finally let me out of the hospital, and I'm doing better, but then I get weak again. So the doctor says, okay, go in and we'll give you an infusion of iron.
Oh, wow.
What are we going to do? Put spikes in? No, they have this bag and they put it, and that takes a couple of weeks. And ever since then, I have been feeling good.
Okay.
But I started to, so I get an appointment with the oncologist first. Nice guy, but he doesn't say anything. He says, well, yeah, and he says, he just gives you the general framework, which all of it I already knew. And so he says, well, so I get an appointment with a surgeon number 1. He goes in and he says, okay, you've got 3 options. The first option is we cut off part of your intestine that has the cancer in it, sew it back together, put it back together. They don't sew anymore. And the second, and he says, that's the first option. He says, well, how do you feel about a colostomy bag?
Colostomy bag.
Colostomy bag. I said, shoot me, kill me first. Then you can put one on. And so he says, well, I want you to think about this. He says, because the first option, when we put it back together and we put the intestine back together, if that intestine leaks at all, if you have any problems with that and you're 88 years old, why, it'll get in your intestines and you got big problems and you're probably going to die. So that sort of wakes you up.
Right.
And I said, well, look, if you're worried about my age, 88, don't worry. In 2 months, I'm going to be 89. He didn't think that was funny at all.
No, yeah.
And what's the third option? Well, the third option is radiation. And if radiation won't cure it, but it will cut it in half. So I'm thinking, oh, okay. So this is the minimal information I have. And that's all they give you. I have learned in my 89 years of being a medical practicee. What is it? A medical
guinea pig?
Guinea pig. Yes. That what they're really good about is they identify your disease.
Yes.
They can tell you exactly what it is. That's nice. You've identified it. What caused it? Well, we don't
Could be
know.
this,
That
could be
old,
that,
a lot
yeah.
of it's old age, they think,
They think.
because all of us in our society have it.
Right.
You know.
That's what Dr. McDougall has always said. Right.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So I think, well, so I go home and I said, and he says, now this is your decision. It's up to you to make it. But what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to go home and think about it. I'm not going to make a decision
Did
today.
you think about having a second opinion?
Oh, I did. Well, as soon as
Okay.
but my point is, he kept pressuring me.
Yeah, they put the
His-
fear and the pressure on you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it's just like a rush. He said, okay, so we chatted, and I sort of went over those three again. He said, all right, now how are you leaning? And I said, I'm leaning to go home. So I go home, and he has his girl call me. Now I decided I want a second opinion.
Okay.
So I call up my primary and say, how do I get a second opinion? She says, you just call up the surgical department, tell them you want one.
Okay.
I said, great. So I call them up and say, I want one. And I said, okay.
Not 6 months later?
No, but my niece got on the phone. No, well, it took a while. My niece got on the phone. She says, we got to find a doctor.
Now, what does your niece do?
She's a nurse.
Oh, okay, great.
And my nice niece, Nurse Nancy, and I hope you watch this. And she gets on the internet, and I don't know if she has the same internet as I do, but she picks this gal out. And I said, well, she's got to be with, she is with Kaiser. Oh, that's good. And she's got to be with experience with this kind of surgery.
Sure.
And, she is. Well, not only does she board certified in colon, as regular surgeon, but as a colon surgeon, and she had a year's fellowship. And so
is great.
Yeah. I was impressed with her.
Right.
Just with her vita, with her, her paper on paper. So I called up and I said, I want a second opinion with this doctor. Oh, okay. And no problem at all. So then the first doctor's nurse calls me and says, no, he texts me. He texts me and he says, I understand you've got a second opinion. That's good. I think it's a good idea for you to have a second opinion. But I just happen to have an opening in my surgery in January. Well, I'm going, nah,
Yeah, exactly. But by the way, we'll get you in now.
Yeah. 2 or 3 weeks later, he calls me in person and gives me the same.
Sounds like a salesperson.
Well,
I'm running the special on this vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Running the special on this surgery.
He's giving me the sales pitch, and I said, you understand? And I haven't seen the
new person
the new
yet.
doctor yet.
Okay.
And I said, well, you understand that I'm not going to get a bag. And he told me that he didn't want to do the first option. He would only want to do the bag. So I said, we understand. I've decided not to. And my plan B was, because Dottie has had stage 4 cancer and she cured it with diet. And she also used Chris Wark as a
Chris Wark. Oh, okay. Yeah, of Square One.
Yeah, and I can't find his book. I've misplaced it, but I had bought the book for Dottie. We were on a cruise. We had lunch.
You've actually met him in person.
Yeah, I met him. We had dinner with him.
Before the diagnosis and everything.
Well, when Dottie had her diagnosis.
Right. But you had.
But I didn't know.
No, exactly. That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
And I had met him. He's a nice guy. He's fun.
Young kid, isn't he?
I
mean, for considering our age, he's a young kid.
Yeah, he is. He had it when he was 26, which
right.
I'm going, that's 26, 80, 88.
89,
it's a little bit of difference. But so, and he beat it by juicing. And
interesting.
He juiced so much that his skin turned orange because.
He must have been juicing carrots.
Yes.
Okay.
He was juicing carrots.
Okay.
So I decided it can't, that's the thing about this lifestyle. It can't hurt you. There's nothing bad.
No.
And I'm not withholding anything that the medical people want to do. So I thought, all right, I'll start doing this.
And the only bag you have to really worry about is just buying a big bag of carrots.
Yes.
Yeah, not a bag.
And the time it takes to juice
right,
it.
okay.
So I got his book. Went on found his website, chrisbeatcancer.com. and you went to it and
I went
looked
to
at.
his website. I listened to a podcast from him the other
Yes.
day when you mentioned him, and
Yeah.
so interesting, such great information.
He is. And there's just so much information out there for those of us that are looking for. And when I first went through this 9 years ago, I just didn't know where to look. I didn't know
Sure.
what to look for. And this was so much better. So I got it. I bought the big expensive juicer. He says to get that one. I've got it. It's over there on the counter. And
maybe you could do a show on that later.
Okay.
Just to show, okay.
I would. She insists that I do.
People want to know. They want to know if Al's doing it. We want to know what it is.
Oh, I don't
Okay.
think so. So
So
anyway,
you have the second opinion.
yeah. So now I go see this gal for the second opinion,
Okay.
and I go in there, and she gives me. For the first thing she does, very political. She says, "Well, Dr. X said that his recommendation was the conventional, safe one." And she says, "You're older, and you're 80, or and so you're at a higher risk." And she says, "But, and I think if you're willing to do it, I am." And I could tell she was positive.
Yeah.
I said, "All right." So she gives me the similar options. The first is the one. I said, "Okay." And then she tells me about the lucky option. I said, "Oh, I want to hear that."
Lucky.
I've been known to be lucky. Yeah.
Yes, especially with Dottie. You lucked out when you got a good wife.
I've been unlucky with friends.
Yeah,
though.
exactly. Well, this is different. Yeah, okay.
So
So being the gambler,
I don't know why I ask you to crack me up. You just disrupt me.
Oh, keep going. I'll be very professional now.
Yeah, you
Let me
won't.
put on my Barbara
No,
Walters
you won't.
hat. Yeah,
So the second is what's the lucky one? She says, "Well, depending on where the tumor is."
Oh, like closer to this part.
If it's close to the front of your body,
okay,
that's unlucky. But if we're lucky, it'll be closer to your spine, and we can go up through your anus and do the whole procedure. And it's an outpatient. It only takes.
They come outpatient like they come to your home.
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh, okay.
But you don't have to go. You don't stay in the hospital.
Dottie and I don't have to be here, right? No.
Yeah, no. Right. I really want you here, Nurse Ratchet. Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. All right. So, and I thought, "Ooh, that sounds good." And then and I said, "Well, several people have asked me, and I've thought about it. I understand radiation won't cure it, but it'll shrink it."
50%.
I said, "Why don't you do radiation first and then do the procedure?" And she says, "The trouble with radiation is it's not quite as selective as we would like to think it is. And so it damages
even the surrounding cells or something."
Well, the blood vessels in the surrounding cells. So
okay.
if you have radiation, you then have to have the bag. So I said,
you didn't want the bag.
I don't want the bag. The bag's off the list. So
let's put Chris Wark up on top, bag on the bottom.
So I said, "Well, I've been told that when you put it," I said, "Well, in the first place, how the hell do you get in there through my butt and sew it all?" She said, "Oh, we don't sew it anymore. We staple it." Oh, with titanium staples. I have titanium staples in my chest from 1984.
Wow.
They're still there because they opened me up and
Did you go through a metal detector, TSA?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, they don't recognize, and they won't recognize the little tiny ones. So I said, how do you staple? I said, well, I've been told if it comes apart, if I get any leakage, it'll kill me. She said, "Nah." She says, "It's not going to happen. And if it does," she says, "well, I'll take care of it."
Yay.
That's what I like.
That's what you want to hear.
I just like someone that's positive and confident.
And I think Chris Wark stresses that a lot too. And some of the things I've been reading about, it's like your attitude.
Well, we have to be confident.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. He doesn't want you to say, "Oh, I've got cancer. I've got cancer." He wants you to focus on things like, "I'm healed. I'm healthy. I'm well." Well,
that's really a good point. And I think
And
I'd
if your
like.
doctor shares that, that's important too.
Yes.
I think that's together,
Yeah.
working together.
I would like to say that, and Ruben, our friend Ruben Guzman,
Yes.
he has a whole thing on people that have cancer. Now I didn't take it, and because I've been 8.5, almost 9 years on this lifestyle, and it has done such amount of good for me. And on my website, you will see 40 some people that I have interviewed that have on this lifestyle and have cured. Like the last one I just did was lupus.
Wow.
And
Brooke Goldner, she has cured her lupus using
yes, and this gal used lupus as she used lupus as her North Star to how to treat it.
Right.
So I've seen it treat so many things. And Dottie had stage 4 cancer, and she was not as compliant as I am, but she still nevertheless gave up all animal products.
Yes.
She got rid of stage 4. So I'm thinking, I'm not worried about it. Maybe I'm being unrealistic, but I'm just not worried about it. I'm more worried about the anemia that just really screws up my lifestyle.
So how long have you been juicing then? When did you
I started juicing probably a month or 2 ago. My juicer is just starting to get carrot stained.
Okay, yeah, you get that orange tinge to it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So would you say, since you've been juicing, that's helped your anemia?
Oh my golly, yes.
Okay, that's great.
Because in the hospital, they gave me a blood transfusion, and that worked, and then it started to wear off. Then they gave me an infusion of iron, and that worked, and it started to wear off. And so I was down that I could barely walk about 2/10 of a mile up up the street with Dottie and our dog. And then I'd have to come back. Well, now I can. We did 1.5 miles the other day, just with no trouble. I'll do at least 1 mile in the morning, and then half a mile in the evening, with just no effort. I mean, if I didn't, if I don't know. I think, well, do I even need to operate on the cancer? But I obviously I do and will.
Do you have another appointment with your doctor?
Oh, it takes me forever. They're going to do a sigmoid where they just look up the lower portion of your colon.
Okay.
It's not as serious as the other one. But it took them a month to get me scheduled to do that.
Wow.
And I have a good relationship with this gal. I mean, the most important thing about her, other than being a good surgeon, she's got a sense of humor.
And
I love that.
For Al.
It is really important. Yes. Yeah, I really don't have. I'm not really friendly with. Think about it. I'm not really good friends with anybody unless they have a good sense of humor. It's the only reason I let you hang around.
And that's very rare. Yes, exactly.
I didn't mean that.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just kidding. All right. Where were we?
So you have another appointment.
Yes.
It's going to be a month, and
I have another appointment on the Friday the 29th, and they're gonna make an appointment to have the real operation. And the whole point of juicing now is what I want to go into whichever one they do.
Yes.
Have my immune system as healthy as I can be, have my immune system as good as it can be. Well, and that is after interviewing Amy about her lupus, you really sense how important our immune system is. She had such terror. I want you to go look at it. It's called Lunch with Amy. She had her symptom where her hands turned blue.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and all these other symptoms that were immune related, but they thought she was a little cuckoo.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first thing they think. She said it took her years for her for them to diagnose what the problem was.
Wow, that's tough. And I think, as Chris Wark stresses, also, I know he's associated with Healing Strong, the support group and stuff. Yeah. But I think he really stresses is that you almost need to be your own advocate.
Almost you do when you're our age.
Right.
In California, on this system, you have to
And you want to
fight
get as
them
healthy
tooth and
as
nail.
you can. That's healthy.
Yes.
And as you said, there's nothing in Chris Wark's program or what you're doing or what Dottie did.
Or any of the programs you look at.
Well, that has negative side effects.
Right.
Yes, exactly. So go ahead.
And I'm going to say, and look, if you're just watching this for the first time and know what the hell I'm talking about, I do.
Who is he?
Yeah. But if you want help on anything whole food plant based, the people that are legitimate, the people that know what they're doing, they're not going to sell you a lot of stuff. No. Maybe they want to sell you their book. Okay, they got to make a living, and the book is helpful. I learned everything out of books.
You did, and that's how you met Caldwell Esselstyn. And
that's right.
You
his book saved my life.
Who you credit. But the same sort of thing.
And Chris's books helped a lot of people.
He's still helping people. He's got a great podcast too. It's just wonderful. One of the things I wanted to hit upon that you're always so good about is Chris says free therapy is to get moving. And I really think that's really important. What do you think?
Yeah, you text me the other day, says, what are you doing? And I didn't know why you were asking, but I thought, I just want to keep busy.
I didn't mean what magazine you're reading. I know I wanted to ask because exercise, and I think that's one of the things that's actually prolonged Al's life, despite the cancer diagnosis, despite the heart disease, is your movement, your attitude, and your nutrition.
I have a lot of aphorisms, and one of them, couple of them, but the important one of them is it's hard to hit a moving target.
Exactly, that's right. And there's a book like that too. It's called Depression. It's hard to hit a moving target, and just like stay moving. That's a natural.
Yeah. You just feel better. I mean, I read years ago if one of the easiest and best ways to cure depression is walking.
Exactly.
And we've been here a year in this community. It's an over 55 community. Dottie wanted to live here because it's gated and it's nice. But
everything's one story.
We had to move from a one-story house. But the reason, and I love it, is that there's a creek that runs through the whole community, and there's a walking path, and you can walk 2 miles on that creek. It's
paved and it's safe.
It's paved, and they plant roses on the side.
Beautiful.
They come in and they trim the roses, and it's just beautiful. And we've been here a year, and I just feel so lucky. But part of the time when I was here, I couldn't walk, and that just depresses you.
And I think Al is all about community. He's been so good about that. What are you doing in your community here? Are you inspiring other people?
No, I try.
Yes, you did. The answer is yes. I already know the answer to that question. Yes, he is inspiring people.
Well, it's I tell you, everybody here is over 55, and my next door neighbor is 81. Oh no, he's my age, 88, 89 now. And there's so many people that I know, and they get together and they eat crap. They don't eat healthy, and I feel so bad. But now we start to go to all of the events now, and they all know that I eat differently.
We think it's normal, right?
Yeah, I do, yeah. But I'm carrying it into it, and I've learned from my nephew Bruce that you affect a lot of people if you don't just nag them, if you just show them.
Sure. And he definitely walks the walk. He's not just up here talking.
I do show
He's not just a mouthpiece. He's actually. So what's next for you as far as your diagnosis, as far as
Good question. We're going to, on the 29th, they're going to give me the sigmoid, and they're going to tell me if I'm lucky or not. And hopefully, I don't really know. They're really good with the mushroom theory. What the mushrooms is, keep you in the dark and cover you with.
Right, we know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
compost. We'll put it nice.
Compost, okay. Yes. So I don't really know. I'm just assuming that they will put me on a schedule, which will probably take. I was thinking I'd have the operation in February, but I bet they'll extend it out to March.
Well, let me ask you this. So you're going to keep juicing, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What are some of the things that are
I'm juicing 3 times a day.
Wow, that's incredible.
No, Well, okay, I'm going to do better because once I just if you read Chris's books, he lived on juice, but then he got super skinny.
Oh yeah.
But he didn't have any. He didn't have enough starches. So I don't think he got enough protein with if with just juicing.
Good point.
So he started eating beans.
Okay,
and
beans.
rice.
Yes,
And potatoes.
And you love beans and
And
rice.
I live. I do. That's what I'm going to have for lunch after you leave.
Okay.
Lunch with Al. So I'm doing it 3 times a day. And what I just did is he then started to go on a whole food plant-based diet. Well, I'm already on that, so I just added juice. I'm doing it the inverse of what he did. And once you have the procedure, they don't want you to eat any raw food at all.
Okay.
No roughage. They don't want you to have any fiber because they want it to heal.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to then cut out anything solid, and I'm going to juice like 5 times a day. Wow, in between meals. And now I sort of do that. When I get hungry, I sort of take a little sip of something. And
vodka?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know. I wasn't sure. I don't know you that well. Well, Al, don't you think we should get back together after the 29th? And see how things are going? And let's do a follow-up. What do you guys think?
Yes. Oh, I just love you. This is why she's in my life. She just makes me laugh.
I was so fortunate to meet Al. I remember we were at a veg fest together, and I think you were giving a presentation, or I was busy doing something, and you said, "Oh, I'm brand new to this," and that was what, 9 years ago? It must have been.
Yeah, it was.
That's great.
I've been in. Yeah.
So tell me, let's just wrap up. But
okay, let's wrap it up.
Let's see. Tell me a couple of things that.
Oh my God, half an hour we've been doing this.
Okay, give us a hint. Can we go to a website, or can you just give us a rundown? What are some of the things you put in your juice?
Oh, yes, and I haven't done it. Yes, I have a recipe. I took Chris's recipe. No, I took Chris's recipe and then I modified it. Okay. I did all his juicing, but interesting. I'm going. I can't. This is why I had you over, to keep me on track. I interviewed 2 people New Year's Day at AJ's house. That are raw foodies.
Oh, nice.
Yes, it's Raw Food Romance is their website.
Oh, cute. I think I met them before.
And so I'm not a raw foodie, so I think I can just do anything I want as long as it's healthy. So after I juice, I put the juice into my big Vitamix blender, and in that I put a banana, because I put a lemon in unpeeled.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, well, it's a little.
That sounds zesty.
It is. Yeah. It's a little
It'll wake
tart.
You up.
Little
Give you that
tart.
good puckerish.
Yes.
Okay.
So to compensate for that, I put a banana in because a
little sweetness.
A little sweetness to overcome that. And then I fill whatever's left at the top. I just jam all the kale I can put in.
Nice.
And and I put in a tablespoon of
amla powder.
Yes, thank you. Amla powder. Forgot about that because that's high in antioxidants.
Dr. Greger talks about that.
He does, and he also talks about strawberry powder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that increases your longevity.
Is it strawberry or raspberry?
It's strawberry.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's strawberry powder,
Great.
Not raspberry. And I don't know, but there's something in the raspberries, some funny sounding thing that helps.
I know, yeah. Dr. Greger loves strawberries.
Yeah, and then I put in a tablespoon of cocoa, not
cacao.
Not cacao, cocoa.
Okay.
And even though it's 30% fat, but it's only a tablespoon I put in. It opens up the blood vessels in your body.
Well, they say that dark chocolate has positive effects.
Well, that's one of it. It's got cocoa in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, it's not the milk chocolate. It's not the See's candy. It's not all that, but it's the powder.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I have noticed that I can handle the cold better than I could when I was young. And I've told this to other people my age, and they all agree it works.
Great.
So I do that. These are things that I had been doing before anyway. So I'm just sort of folding them in, using the juice as a delivery method.
Well, and it sounds like from just what you've talked about, you were more concerned with the anemia than you actually were the cancer.
Well, it's affecting me more.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I assume the cancer will kill me if I don't do anything about it.
So good nutrition.
But the anemia makes me wish I was dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, I feel dead, but I'm alive, right?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Okay, well, thank you so much for this interview.
Oh, thank you
It's been so much fun. Hasn't it been great, everyone? We love checking in with Al. So we'll check in with him again in a few weeks.
Thank you.
In the meantime, let's go to Chris Wark's website. He's got a great podcast. You've inspired me for my goals. I'm going to start juicing. Maybe 3 times a week. I'm going to start that. How's that?
Why not?
Yeah,
it can't hurt. And, you know, I'm not that worried about weight, and I don't know that it puts any, well, I'm sure it does, but it hasn't affected my weight.
I think for us, we're not looking to be like on the cover of Sports Illustrated, the swimsuit edition. We're more interested in health. We're more interested in activity. Right.
You're just a young thing.
Just a baby. Yeah, right. No, but it's true. Yeah. So I think that's what it's not just a lifespan. We want a health span. And that's what Al's so good at.
That's right.
That's why we love him.
And I'm going to publish this just as soon as I can. But I got 2 more in the can for the next 2 Wednesdays that I did on New Year's Day.
Oh, great!
And they'll be interesting. I told the one was the
Amy with lupus.
No, that was already out.
Oh,
that's
the raw
already,
food people.
Yeah,
Raw food romance.
And then Amy's mother that lost 100 pounds.
Oh my God!
And that's an interesting story.
Those are really interesting. All right, everybody, stay tuned. We're so glad. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy 2025, our year to thrive, right, Al?
Stay alive.
In 2025.
That's a good one. I like that.